Hi, I'm Turk Strongman. This video is about memory. More specifically, what things are healthy to remember, what things are not. How long should we try to remember things? Stuff like that. Thank you for selecting this video on memory. Before I continue, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, then please take a moment right now, pause the video, go ahead and subscribe. I think it's in your own best interest. And while you're at it, activate the notification bell feature. If you like the video by the time it's over, please remember to give it a thumb up, and you may feel free to give it one anyway, regardless. Share the joy of the channel with others. Keep checking back for fresh uploads. Even if you do activate the notification bell feature, sometimes it doesn't work properly. Now, moving on. This is a question that arises from my own experience. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, in fact. I just turned 65. That's not the only reason I'm thinking about what memories to hang on to intentionally hang on to, and which ones to not intentionally hang on to. But it is a minor reason. Anyway, memories, increasingly through life, given a certain psychological condition of mine, a certain psychological state of affairs, have been nagging me. When it comes to the fact that I have moderate to severe PTSD difficulties, these memories, one that pops up in a moment of stress quite rapidly and comprehensively can bring to bear the process of memory association, such that a whole bunch of them pop up really fast. And I tended to emotionally and physiologically relive them as though those events were happening now. And with a whole collection of them at one time hitting me like that, that can be a pretty bad experience. That's rather difficult to set aside and replace with other thoughts, such as those concerning what I'm doing at the moment. It's as though what I'm doing at the moment is reliving the past. A large chunk of it, with that chunk involving components being constituted by component parts, individual memories that are all very similar to one another. And even those that weren't in the first place when the actual events occurred, they tended to blend together. My reaction at the time I'm experiencing this barrage of associated memories, they do all tend to take on the same general spirit. So yeah, I've been giving this some thought. There seems to be a dilemma that I face, and you may face too at times in your life if this ever occurs to you, if this trend of thinking here that I'm about to propose, or that I am proposing here, introducing to you, ever occurs to you. The dilemma, it's an apparent dilemma. On the one hand, I don't want to give up memories. I don't want to forget the past. I like knowing the past. I like, similarly, for one reason, similarly to the fact that it's useful to know facts, historical facts about the world. There are good reasons for that. There's also, in the same manner, But at the individual level, for each of us, pretty good idea to have a grip on what things have led up to now. There are other reasons for it being a very useful, wonderful thing, memory. To try to keep our memories accurate. Review them frequently. When a memory pops up, perhaps, think about it. Check it for accuracy. It can be very easy, due to various factors, for them to get off track. For imagined or contrived or dishonest or by way of suggestions by others, for memories to become inaccurate. It's a good idea when an event occurs, especially one that we feel might be good to remember, or we want to remember. Well, make sure at the time of the event that we've got it correct, okay? And then each time we remember it, check it. See if it's still the same. And if it's not, make it that way. Keep the fact check going with respect to memories. Keep them accurate. On the other hand, now see, isn't it good to let go of things? To let things fade away? The more our memory builds up, the longer our lives are, the more events that occur. Well, there's a larger body of content for us to get distracted by when we should be planning for the future, or even more so, paying attention to the present. And if we tend to get bogged down by memories, brought down by memories, get obsessive about memories, well, there's all the more, the longer, the larger our body of memories is, all the more to keep us distracted, downtrodden psychologically, etc. Isn't it just a good idea to move on? And doesn't that involve just letting things go? And doesn't that involve this kind of not thinking about them anymore? Letting them slide away, letting them fade into the past. If memory pops up, just quickly ignore it. Get on with what we're currently doing. Why focus on the past? Why linger in the past? All of these hints and tips and tricks that we're given as quips of wisdom by others throughout our lives regarding this sort of thing may come into play. And, I remember my father as an example of somebody who was pretty good at letting things go. I remember I was about 20 years old and he was about 50, something like that, maybe more, pushing 60, I guess. I asked him something about his mother. Something that I thought he would know. Something that even today, my mother's been dead 15, maybe 20 years going on. I still would remember about her. I don't remember what the question was that I asked my father, but he said, I don't know. I don't remember anything like that. I don't remember much about my mother, really, anymore. She died when he was, 20 or 30 years old. It wasn't like she died when he was in his youth, early childhood or anything. He didn't really know her. No, he knew his mother. She was alive when he got married. She was alive when he had his first son, my oldest brother, 15 years older than I. He didn't know the answer to the question. Not even close. I mean, it wasn't like he answered like, let me see. Oh, jeez, I thought I would know that, but no, I don't know, it's kind of like on the tip of my tongue, but no. honestly, I don't know the answer to that. No, it wasn't like that. No, it was more like what I demonstrated just previously here. It was like, no, I don't remember. Oh, no, I barely remember anything about my mother. I haven't thought about her for, it's been years, man. Something like what you just asked, I have no idea how to answer that. No. Oh, no. That was a long time ago. Now, one could say, well, he knows how to move on. You let things go. You got to let things go, man. You can't linger in the past. These memories, they're not doing you any good. What good are they going to do? Really? Well, if you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, it doesn't really matter. All your life experience up till then is important. It has its place. Yes, it's past. Has a hell of a lot to do with your present, though. A hell of a lot to do with it. And it has a hell of a lot to do with your future. So does the present have a lot to do with your future. Are you going to forget most of today when tomorrow comes just because it's now tomorrow? And because you've moved on from today when it becomes tomorrow? Is that it? Does your life experience consist of only what's happening right now? Yes, there is a level of discourse at which the answer is yes. We're not at that level of discourse here. That's not the level of discourse in which you and I, in this video, currently engage one another. Yes, right now is an instant of time. The past is far greater in extent and includes a lot more content than this current, now, instant in time. Yes, the past is gone. There's a sense in which it's no longer real, depending on, of course, on how we define reality. Similarly, the future is not even here yet, but the future doesn't have content yet. The past has content, and it has been consequential. It may even have some consequence in what your current point of view is about this topic. Probably does. Memory is an extraordinarily important function of a major mental capacity is going on. All thought involves memory. But you got an idea to have the memory accurate, wouldn't you say, Ben? Even current rational processes going on rely on memory. Whether it's inductive or deductive reasoning, some bit of a life experience is drawn into play. Unless we're doing a strictly formal logic problem-solving exercise at the time as an intellectual or academic armchair endeavor. How are we going to keep our memories accurate if we don't review them? Or if when they pop up, we don't give them a little bit of attention, at least check them. So, Does that mean we don't move on? No, the moving on has to do with our emotional attention and our cognitive attention to the past, to the memories, to events. Largely when we talk about you got to move on, we're talking about undesirable events, events to which we have experienced a negative emotional impact. You got to move on, you got to put them aside. Who wants to let go of a wonderful memory? But then some of us even just prefer to not have them stick around anymore either. They just clog things up, right? I mean, you can't relive them for real, so might as well enjoy things while they're happening. And why not? What do you need to remember them for? Oh, wait a second here, though. Come on. There's some sense in that, but how much? Really? How much? When we talk about moving on, when we tell somebody you got to move on, what we're talking about in large is the emotional connection, the tendency to get emotionally caught up in those memories, especially if the emotions don't feel good, if they're what we would call negative emotions, destructive ones. Then again, in a similar manner, if we have a tendency to cognitively have an obsession over ruminating a lot of times, or the past, then that's excessive. That's why it's called obsessive. I'm not talking about these conditions. Of course, if these conditions exist, they should be addressed for their own sake. But if we give an event and our emotional response to it, and our cognitive processes about it, is due attention at those levels, all those levels, at the time of the event or as soon as we can get to it. Give them their due attention, then by habitual practice of this, no longer give them that due attention because any further attention will then be undue. That doesn't mean letting go of the memory and acting like it did not happen, or 30 or 40 years later having no recollection of it at all. These two notions here are not the same thing. I think it's a good idea to keep your memories. Make sure they're accurate. Be able to go back into the past if asked to or if required for some reason. Or just for the hell of it. And remember, but without the emotional attention. No, just the memory. The recall. Accurate recall. If something is horrible, don't want to remember that. Oh. These kinds of things can be shocking at the time of the event, and we may not get to them fully at the emotional level for a long time. Some things take a long time for that to get done. These are variables, and they can each be handled on their own terms. I'm not specifically referring to any of these kind of like secondary variables to the discourse here. Factors involved. No. I'm talking about the general principle of affairs. If you push out of your memory due to an intentional act, mental act, or due to some defense mechanism, something that was very traumatic. Then we get into repression. Well, that is a defense mechanism. These things can have a dramatic effect later that's not desirable. As though an alarm got set a long time ago, now it's ringing, and we don't even know why. Therapy. Almost to the point of past life recall. Past life regression is required to dig this stuff up. Little late. Not going to get dealt with fully and properly at that point. No. What you get done in therapy is talk about it. Talk about it. Kind of like work through it. But in doing all that, you're dragging it up again now. And when does it end? Do you ever actually, at that point, then get all the way through it and heal totally? You might at some point, after some years of therapy over something. Years, by the way, years. This is a slow process, especially when the therapy is at best 1 hour a week. Yeah, you might pull through it. You might say, I've healed pretty well from it. The therapist was very helpful. I was in therapy for 12 years for that. Not much better now. I'm back to being able to function as a normal person. But that functioning and the road to it is nowhere near the same as it would have been without having had to go through all of that. It's a good idea that they would be able to, with practice, attend to events cognitively and emotionally as soon as possible. No matter how long it takes to get started, as soon as possible. Once they've got their due attention, learn to know where to draw the line. Okay, it's got its attention now. Any further is just a mental habit, and not a good one, is undue attention, and then there's a problem with that too. Kind of similar to the problem of not giving things their attention in the first place, not giving them their due attention. But does this mean, now, let's say we get this through practice pretty well under our belts, right? Does this now imply that a few years down the road we don't remember it at all? No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Memories of past events are very important to our lives and to our mental stability. Try to hold on to memories, but deal with the events and your responses to them in a timely and appropriate manner. All right? Now, here's one other consideration. Let's say you're not just concerned about your mental health, which has kind of been the direction of this video so far. Let's say you're on more of a long-term path of attainment. You might want to call it spiritual attainment, personal involvement, self-mastery, what have you. In fact, you're crossing the line now from mortal, false ego-centered, kind of like minimally conscious. You over into true selfhood, into functions of the higher planes in which you participate. higher mental functions, rising above the laws of cause and effect associated with the lower planes, the lower mental plane, the lower astral plane, sensory-based way of being. Wouldn't it be a good idea to just no longer remember any of the stuff, any of the mental stuff from before you crossed that line? Wouldn't it? Let me be more specific about this. Let's say you have a concern, not an obsessive one, not one in which you are very emotionally connected, not one that you are very attached to, but you're kind of gearing things up so that you're going to be less likely than otherwise to reincarnate. In other words, you are working on detaching from the affairs of this world, from the affairs of the lower set of planes that are connected to this physical planet and its atmosphere, its thought atmosphere, and so forth. Its chain of causation, whatnot. You're working on becoming non-attached. One of the effects that you may expect from that would be that when you die, whatever you take that to be, at your current level of attainment, you really have nothing you're attached to here. You're not still emotionally caught up in things that took place here. I mean, like, you're up to date on this, every day. You can walk away from it. Nothing to draw you back. Nothing to feel like you have to redo. Or no circumstances here that you feel you could have done better in. Or worse. It was pretty much detached. You don't want to have to go through any of this again. But even that desire, you're not attached to that either. It's just a course that you're on. And you're aware of it. Well then, wouldn't it be a good idea to make a practice of living only in the moment all the time? Let the past just go. Don't even hold on to it. Don't think about it. Just put it aside. So that it's not even there for you. So that at the moment you die, say for example, just think about your whole life flashes before your eyes. There's really not much content. So to speak, maybe. And if it does, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw everything now just in a flash, everything that took place. I kind of had my little moral and my ethical review of it, what I could have done better, what things hurt others, what things hurt me, la, 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 la. And you know what? None of it was very effectual to me. No big deal. Like, so what? Yeah, look at the hand, whatever. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Is it really going to be like that anyway? Is that really going to happen? Aren't all events inscribed in the astral light in the so-called astral Akashic record, which is really only a reflection of where they're actually inscribed at a much higher plane level. They're there. And in your own subconscious functionings, they are there. Things that happened a long time ago in your life that you may not have thought of, you would not be able to recall, even if you had tried to hold on to these things. They happened, they were so small little things. Happened when you were a small toddler. You haven't thought of them for years. At a moment of emotional crisis or emergency, I bet you some of those things do come up because they're still there. Anyway, so this idea of leaving the planet with no real recollections, nothing, you let it all go, it all passed, it's like faded away, it's like it never happened. That's kind of a false idea. The trick to all of this is to give things their due attention as soon as you can, as they occur, or at the end of the day, or over a long period if it takes a little bit every day, over, like, say, grieving the loss of a parent or a child or a spouse. Give them their attention. And give them what is due at the levels it is due, emotionally, spiritually, cognitively, whatever. And then give them no more. That does not mean forget about them. Oh, we all know you don't really ever forget about stuff, not fully, but I'm talking about a little more than that here. Hang on to them. They're part of your life. They're part of your life. You want to be in your life? Yeah, focus on what you're doing. Be present in your life. But the past is part of it too. Don't look down on your memories. Don't look down on your capacity to have them. To have your capacity called memory full of content. Don't frown on that. It's not to be looked down on. It's not to be talked down about. A lot of the talk that people will give you, especially if you're having a hard time over something in the past or something that just happened lately, a lot of the talk that people will give, meaning to help you, either you may misconstrue, overconstrue, or be misconstrued as it's being given to you. I think I'm giving you some pretty straightforward, pragmatic, doable, and accurate information about it all here. I think so. To the best of my knowledge, what I've come up with myself, and I am somebody who has battled with this. I've done a significant amount of looking into all of this myself, from both the exoteric and the esoteric approaches. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. Like the video? Thumb up. Didn't like it? Other thumb up. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell feature, share the joy of the channel with others. And remember, you heard it right here. That's Ron Q. Amateur Rocka. I'm Turk Strongman. Now go be well. Remember that.